Hey everyone, let's talk about getting back into good habits and the Compund Effect by Darren Hardy. Last week, I was struggling with life a lot again. You know that I don't really like working a 9 to 5 office job and more or less turning into a living for the weekend person. And that's the feeling I got last weekend. For me, I would rather have every day the same, or at least the same opportunity to be a good day because you have a lot of time for different things. And yes, work as well. I don't mind working. I like to work. But I noticed last week that I fell back into the habit of working long hours and then just going home and being exhausted and tired and not doing anything because I didn't have any energy to do it. And then on the weekend, I'm trying to catch up on all the things that I didn't do during the week, but that I want to do. And that frustrated me. Topping that off with me trying to get back into my morning exercise. Back in November, December, when it basically was dark all the time, I had trouble getting up in time to squeeze in morning exercise before work. So I decided I don't want to feel like a failure every morning and stopped forcing myself to do morning exercise. If I could manage, it was fine. But a lot of times I just slept an hour longer, which is good for me because I really don't want to be a person who gets up before the sun. That is problematic. I don't want to have that life. But having to work early, yeah, the problem is there. So now in February, sunrise is earlier again. I have less trouble getting out of bed. So I've been trying to get back into morning exercise, which worked okay. But on the weekend, I was like, oh, you could stay in bed, you could sleep in. And all of a sudden, I skipped my morning exercise. And that is when it really, really frustrated me that I realized that I had let slip all my good habits during the week again. So I basically only worked and forgot to take care of everything else that is good for me. And that happens to me a lot. So I was in a frustrated mood, being really not happy with how I was handling things, how life was going, and I was on the way of being really, really, depressed and pitying myself. I tend to do that. Not a good habit, but yeah, sometimes that happens. When I saw Erin from the bibliotherapist talk about the compound effect, how she was reading it and really enjoying it. So I thought, why not try that to see if it helps me get back into the good habits and motivates me a little bit. Because, I'm not new to the self improvement game, and sometimes it's just a nice boost for your motivation to hear strategies and get tips. So I downloaded the audiobook and listened to it at the gym and finished it over dinner. It's just 4 hours. You probably shouldn't breathe through the audiobook as fast as I did, but overall, I didn't really learn anything new. I think you can sum up this book as be aware of what you do and small changes have big effects over time. More or less. There are some strategies in there and some good tips, some things where I was like, ugh, no, I don't like that. But overall, I think it's not a bad book. It's just not the right book for me. Like I said, I'm not new to the self improvement game. For me, this worked more as a reminder of all the good strategies I already have, all the good habits I already have, and all the things I'm doing right. But I tend to fall off the horse and I need to get back up every now and again. And that is something that I always miss in these habit creating self improvement books is that it's okay to stop your habit, that it's not a failure if you don't follow your habit for a day or a week or two. Yes, it's harder to get back into the habit, but getting back into the habit is also a habit that I have developed now. I tend to fall out of habits all the time. Some I just discard because they don't really work for me anymore. But others just, I don't know, I tend to forget to do them once, twice, and then you just forget them. But then you realize you missed something, and that's the time when you start back up again. And that is the good thing about habits. When something has been a habit in the past, it's much easier to get back into the habit than when you started for the first time. So that is something that I was reminded of listening to this book, even though it didn't mention that. It made me realize that I am doing a lot of things right and I'm not as bad as I sometimes think I am. So overall, this worked out for me. I'm trying to pay more attention to what I need, what's good for me during the week as well, so that I don't feel like I'm playing the catch up game on the weekend only and then start the week again with a job that Yeah, it's not the job that I don't like. I just don't like working 9 to 5, 8 hours a day. I'd much rather work 6 hours, 7 days a week, but not an option right now. Anyways, the things that I didn't like about the book is that it was definitely geared at gaining income, becoming rich, and being successful at work. I don't care about that. We all know that. I have no career ambitions. Another thing that really doesn't work for me specifically is using competition to motivate yourself. He described a lot of situations where a competition motivated people to do stuff. And yeah, that doesn't work for me. But if it does for you, this might help you to get into things. Overall, I got out of the book what I wanted. I started the week a lot more motivated to really pay attention to what I want to do more and yeah, not let everything slide again and fall into the trap of working long days and then just ignoring everything else I like to do because I don't really like to work long days. Thank you all for watching. Tell me in comments how you are doing with your habits, if you experience the same things. Did you make New Year's resolutions? It's February, so do you feel like you've lost all of that already and failed, or are you motivated to keep them up? Tell me in comments anything. Bye bye.